As the administration has claimed, this is an armed conflict against the drug cartels, then why was it that these individuals were not being held by the United States as POWs or as unlawful enemy combatants?
The fragile ceasefire deal in Gaza flaring up over the weekend, but still holding. The IDF says 2 soldiers were killed and Israeli forces retaliated, killing at least 44 people in Gaza. President Trump says no U.S. troops will be on the ground in Gaza, and he says he will eradicate Hamas if they don't stop the violence.
We had a dark cloud over the Middle East, and now it's all, we have a little situation relatively with Hamas, and that will be taken care of very quickly if they don't straighten it out themselves.
It's day 20 of the federal government shutdown. Democrats and Republicans remain deadlocked on restoring health care benefits. The Senate taking up a vote again later today, trying to end that shutdown. In Pennsylvania, authorities confirm the remains found in a shallow grave have been identified as Kata Scott through DNA. District Attorney of Philadelphia also announced new charges against suspect Keon King, including arson and tampering with evidence related to the vehicle that was set on fire. You're listening to ABC News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Celebrations marking the 250th anniversary of the Marines took place at Camp Pendleton this weekend with Vice President J.D. Vance also on hand. California's governor now slamming the White House, though, for a live artillery demonstration.
Vice President J.D. Vance traveled to Camp Pendleton in Southern California for an event celebrating the Marines' 250th anniversary. During a live fire exercise, an artillery round prematurely detonated over the busy I-5 freeway, damaging a California Highway Patrol vehicle with flying shrapnel. Governor Gavin Newsom posting, "Next time, the Vice President and the White House shouldn't be so reckless with people's lives for their vanity projects."
ABC's Mola Lenghi. French authorities are on the hunt for suspects after a brazen heist at the iconic Louvre Museum, getting away with prized centuries-old jewels. ABC's James Longman is in Paris.
Police say the masked robbers drove up to the side of the museum in a truck mounted with a ladder described as a mobile freight elevator. Police say the lift was extended up to a second-floor window, which the thieves broke open using an angle grinder, a handheld power tool used for metalwork. From there, they're alleged to have threatened security guards before ransacking the Apollo Gallery, where Napoleon III's crown jewels were on display. Police say they tried to set fire to the lift they used before they fled. The raid lasted all of 7 minutes before they escaped on scooters.
The museum remains closed today. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
This is the Newsradio KONP Noon Report.
Todd Ortloff in the KONP News Center. Here's a look at what's happening on this Monday, October 20th. 7 children who were the focus of an overnight search in Clallam County have been found safe. Clallam County Sheriff's Office said the kids, ranging in age from 6 months to 9 years old, were located early this morning in Kitsap County. About 5 a.m., deputies there found the suspect vehicle and took Nicholas Well and Rosario Lopez Castro into custody. The children are now in protective care. Now, the search began late Sunday after a violent incident on Carlsberg Road. Deputies say the driver of a dark blue 1999 Lexus sedan was stabbed and thrown from the vehicle at about 8:30 p.m. The victim was airlifted to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle. Authorities said that Lexus had been reported stolen and initially identified Well and Lopez Castro as persons of interest. A suspect has been arrested after threatening messages and a TikTok video targeting a Sequim High School student circulated on social media yesterday, prompting concern across the school district. Sequim School District Superintendent Reagan Nichols said the threats were quickly reported, and police determined by last night that they were a hoax. However, she stressed that making threats against schools remains a criminal offense. Classes will resume as scheduled today with extra police patrols on campus as a precaution. School staff were set to be briefed again today before the school day began. Officials urging anyone with information to report it and reaffirm that student and staff safety remained the district's top priority, and the investigation is ongoing. A late-night fire destroyed multiple barns on Mount Pleasant Road Friday night, drawing a large response from several area fire departments. Clallam 2 Fire Rescue was called just after 11 p.m. to the 3300 block of Mount Pleasant Road, where crews arrived to find the large hay barn fully engulfed in flames and spreading to nearby grass and outbuildings. With several barns burning and a travel trailer, farm equipment, and nearby home threatened, firefighters shifted to defensive operations to protect the surrounding property, and mutual aid was requested from the PA Fire Department as well as Fire Districts 3 and 4, along with support from Clallam County PUD and the Sheriff's Office. Firefighters faced limited water supply early in the response, requiring water tenders to shuttle water from a hydrant at the bottom of the hill. Once supply was established, crews poured some 20,000 gallons of water onto the blaze. One of the barns contained black powder, creating an added hazard for responders. Crews knocked down the main fire shortly after midnight and remained on scene until about 3:30 Saturday morning, with one engine staying overnight for fire watch. Firefighters returned later Saturday to help the property owner overhaul the smoldering hay piles. A Port Ludlow man in custody after a tense standoff Sunday that drew law enforcement from all across the North Olympic Peninsula. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office says a sergeant tried to pull over a speeding driver, but the man didn't stop till he reached his home. When deputies tried to arrest him, he resisted and ran inside. Pepper spray was used, but had little effect. A short time later, neighbors reported to 911 that a man was walking through their backyard with a shotgun. Well, that prompted a major response, including the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, Port Townsend Police, the State Patrol, as well as bringing in the Peninsula Crisis Response Team and canine units from Kitsap County and Port Angeles Police to help bring the situation finally to a safe end. Police did not release the name of the suspect. The shotgun was recovered. More news after this.
Losing a loved one is overwhelming. Your mind and your heart shut down. That's where Drennan and Ford Funeral Home and Crematory comes in.
Port Angeles is a special place, rich in beauty. History and heart, and no one knows it better than my daughter Latricia Suggs.
Hi, this is Latricia Suggs.
So you stop it. This is Newsradio KONP.
Yeah, obviously having some problems there with our on-air system. It is 12:10 now. Let's check in with Sandy Keys and his weekend wrap-up.
So now we're witnessing summer active season winding down. For evidence of slowdown, the police logs reflect that by being stuck in the ones in several categories. 1, known suicide attempt or threat. in the east end of Port Angeles, one abandoned vehicle in Forks, one domestic violence at an East 101 address, one junk vehicle on Washington and Squim, one weapons discharge at Critter Country Trails Squim, one vehicle prowl at West 6th, one vicious animal complaint at River Road Squim, and one reported fireworks violation on West 18th, Port Angeles, 11 o'clock Saturday night. 3 burglaries were investigated at 7th Avenue Squim Friday morning, and a burglary report 2 hours later and 2 minutes apart at CQ and Clallam Bay. There were only 9 citizen assist requests, but Olympic Medical Center reported a disturbance there on the first floor 6:10 Friday evening and an assault there about 3 hours after that. Other assaults brought police to Railroad Avenue and Oak, Port Angeles Friday afternoon, one at First and Penn later Friday afternoon. There were 9 weekend disturbances, all in Port Angeles, and that's disturbing. Port Angeles also had 3 harassments, Squim had 2, and there were threats of harm, 1 in Squim, the rest in Port Angeles. 5 accidents were recorded, 3 in Greater Squim, 2 in Port Angeles, and drivers endured and survived more than 37 traffic stops, and police still were able to complete 16 welfare checks and 27 building checks. With fire departments, there was an unusual cluster of requests for fire department help Friday night, with a general alarm at Mount Pleasant at 11:12 p.m., a general alarm call at 11:22 p.m. at Carlsberg Road, and a minute after that, another general alarm call at 256,000 block of 101 Port Angeles. There were 2 other general alarm calls, plus an outdoor burn complaint on Cameron Road, Squim, and at Wishbone Lane, Port Angeles. Yes, that does sound like a salad dressing. And in that kitchen and bathroom department, Radio KONP discovered a new bathroom deodorizer spray in the flavor of baked cinnamon apples. So, does that mean that we now can tell our dinner hosts that the freshly baked cinnamon apples smell just like bathroom deodorizer spray? Maybe not. Sandy Keys, KONP Local News.
So you stop at Jungle Jane's in Squim to look around, and suddenly you're on a full-blown style safari. There's home decor, cozy pillows, gorgeous lamps, and even kitchenware you'll actually want to show off. Each piece feels like it was discovered in some far-off marketplace, but you found it right here in Squim. Come wander the wild aisles of Jungle Jane's, where your next favorite home treasure is just a short drive away. Jungle Jane's in Squim, on the roundabout by Costco. Find us on the web at junglejanes.online.
Latricia brings more than experience. She brings a vision for a healthier, stronger future. Latricia's roots run deep, and her heart is with the community.
One step at a time for the next 7 generations. This is Latricia Suggs. Let's build a future that reflects the best of who we are and who we can become. Vote Latricia Suggs for Port Angeles City Council, Position 1.
Paid for by the committee to elect Latricia Suggs.
Looking for affordable home ownership on the peninsula? Mountain View Homes has you covered. Enjoy high-quality craftsmanship at 40% less than traditional homes. You heard me, 40% less. We offer full-service land packages from dirt to turnkey, delivering beautiful, efficient manufactured homes on your chosen site. With 3 convenient locations, including Carlsberg, we're here to serve you. Visit mtviewhomes.com today to learn more. Mountain View Homes, where affordability meets quality.
It's the last day for the Backyard Butcher's on-site sale in Port Angeles. Residents have been buying up 20 ribeye steaks for only $39.
20 ribeyes for $39.
It's not too late. Just look for the Big Red Truck at O'Reilly Auto Parts in PA. Stock up and save. 20 ribeyes for $39. Look for the Big Red Truck at O'Reilly Auto Parts in PA. Cash, credit, debit, and EBT accepted.
In 1983, Tom and Ida McEwen opened All Weather Heating and Cooling. Their vision for a family-owned and operated business with personalized customer service made them the #1 choice for all your heating and cooling needs. By 2014, it was time to pass down the business, and daughter Janae and her business partner Dustin Halverson purchased All Weather. In preserving Tom and Ida's vision, customer service is still their #1 priority. All Weather Heating and Cooling, because everyone calls us.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by All Weather Heating and Cooling. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with a chance for isolated rain showers. High temperatures reach up to 55. Easterly winds around 5 miles per hour. Chance for rain tonight. Lows dip down to about 43. Mainly cloudy skies expected. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Tomorrow, slight chance for rain. High temperatures reach up to 55. Mid-50s Wednesday and Thursday with showers possible both days. Taking a look at the extended forecast, 54 Friday, 51 Saturday, and 49 on Sunday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Right now, it's 56 degrees.
We'll know the World Series matchup tonight. Good morning, I'm Jay Reynolds. Blue Jays, Mariners, 6 games into the ALCS, and there's still one more to go.
Guerrero swings left field, and this one is not coming back. Into the bullpen for the red-hot Guerrero. Hang 'em and bang 'em. Bye-bye baseball. And Vlad gives the Blue Jays a 5-0 lead.
Toronto goes on to win 6-2, staves off elimination. Carl Ravitch on ESPN Radio. Blue Jays will host Game 7 this evening. The winner gets the Dodgers in the World Series. Week 7 of the NFL, and what a crazy fourth quarter in Denver. Broncos trailed 19-0 through 3. There would be a combined 46 points in the fourth. 13 for the Giants, 33 for the Broncos. Denver getting a game-winning field goal at the gun. A 33-32 win.
I think for right now, it's really frustrating, man. I'm trying to put it all together. We had chances to win the game, didn't do it. It's frustrating.
Giants quarterback Jackson Dart. Jets quarterback Tyrod Taylor. He replaces Justin Fields at halftime. Jets fall to 0-7, losing to Carolina by a touchdown. Chiefs shut out the Raiders 31-0. Browns 31-6 over the Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa 3 more interceptions. Colts go to 6-1. They beat the Chargers by 2 touchdowns. Niners over the Falcons in the Sunday night game, 20-10. Christian McCaffrey with 201 yards from scrimmage. Cowboys double up the Commanders 44-22. Jaden Daniels leaves with a hamstring issue. Eagles a 28-22 win over the Vikings. Mike Vrabel and the Patriots go to Tennessee and beat the Titans 31-13 from college. Florida fires Billy Napier after the Gators start 3-4. Kevin Durant signs a 2-year, $90 million contract extension with the Rockets. Hockey, Ryan Donato, the overtime game winner, Chicago 2-1 over Anaheim.
You hear that? That's the sound of Pepsi Zero Sugar. The better tasting, more refreshing Zero Sugar Cola. Listen to that endless pour. Pure refreshment. If it sounds this good, just imagine how it tastes. Oh yeah, so good. Pepsi Zero Sugar. Let your taste decide.
Me, only me.
There's a new voice in Port Angeles, and she wants to be your voice. Vote for change. Vote Mimi, Port Angeles City Council, position 4.
Me, only me.
This ad was paid for by me, Marilee Mimi Smith Dvorak.
News Radio KONP Business.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Amazon says problems still affect its AWS service as a recovery drags the widespread outage. Degraded services for customers, including government agencies and financial platforms. A key digital directory for a database service malfunction, likely causing cascading failures when software reliant on the data trove was unable to retrieve information. Hundreds of companies appear to be impacted. Stocks are higher on optimism about trade and also on optimism about ending government shutdown. Apple shares hitting a new record high on strong showing for iPhone 17 sales. On the other hand, buyer beware, according to Bank of America. Strategists there warn further signs of strain in the credit market may provoke another broad equity sell-off. Molson Coors cutting hundreds of salaried jobs amid weak beer demand. And President Trump has signed an agreement with Australia's Prime Minister to boost access to critical minerals and rare earths as the U.S. looks to reduce reliance on Chinese supplies. Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Radio.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and that means there's no better time than now to educate yourself on preventing, finding, and treating breast cancer. Visit Olympic Medical Center's online health library to answer questions like, what should I know about mammograms? Does my family history put me at risk for breast cancer? And what questions should I ask my doctor? Find answers to these questions and more at olympicmedical.org/breastcancer.
It's the time of year to get your equipment serviced for the winter, and Leeds Farm Supply can get you taken care of. We service everything from mowers to tractors to handheld chainsaws and weed eaters. We have trained techs to take care of any machine from handhelds to large tractors. We have competitive pricing and a quick turnaround. Call us at 452-1400 and talk to Jeremiah to get your service taken care of. Leeds Farm Supply, your local farm and equipment dealer, and so much more. Located at 259-110 Highway 101 in Squim.
News Radio KONP, traffic and roads.
All right, let's head up to Clallam Transit Dispatch Center now. That's where Steve's standing by with a check of the roads for us this noon hour on a Monday. Good afternoon, Steve.
Hi there. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, wow, getting a little bit busy out there. If you're in the Port Angeles Squim area right now, you're going to find a fair amount of traffic making its way through. Not horribly bad. Traffic is moving along, but just expect a lot of vehicles out there, especially downtown Port Angeles across 8th Street. Washington Street and Squim Avenue, those areas, just expect some busy times out there. If you're on the highway between the two cities, it is busy out there, but traffic is moving along really smooth. Shouldn't be much of a problem for you. Headed beyond that, Hood Canal Bridge currently is open to vehicle traffic, so you shouldn't have any problems there, although there was a scheduled closure at noon. I don't think that's happened yet, so just be prepared for that. State Ferry is also running on time today. If you're headed out to the west end, we're looking good all the way out to the Forks area. Really no issues, maybe a rain shower here and there, real light, but other than that, should be a good drive for you. So everybody take care, be safe out there. This is Steve reporting live from Clallam Transit for KONP.
Thank you, Steve. Another update from you in about a half hour. Your weather forecast for today, we're actually expecting partly sunny skies the rest of the day. Maybe a chance of rain late this afternoon. Highs mid-50s to low 60s. Cloudy, some rain overnight tonight. Lows in the low to mid-40s. We may start with a little bit of rain early tomorrow morning, then mostly sunny. And your highs for Tuesday, mid-50s to lower 60s. Right now across the North Olympic Peninsula, cloudy in Port Townsend at the east end where it's 54. Out west at Forks, they're cloudy as well, 52. Broken clouds in 55 in Squim. We've got broken clouds in 55 out at Fairchild Airport here in Port Angeles as well. Well, spooky season is upon us, and that's especially true at the box office. ABC's Mike Dubusky has a look.
I had a bad dream.
Horror sequel The Black Phone 2 topped the weekend box office, bringing in about $26.5 million in its first few days in theaters.
I would like you to meet Ares.
It was also enough to knock Tron Ares down to the number 2 slot with just over $11 million in ticket sales.
You told me I have a budget guardian angel?
Kinda. The other new release was Good Fortune, a comedy starring Aziz Ansari, Seth Rogen, and Keanu Reeves. That opened at number 3. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
When did restless leg syndrome become something that people talk about so often? After all, it was a Swedish neurologist who coined the term 80 years ago. Put simply, restless leg syndrome is a neurological disorder that is characterized by a need to move that is oftentimes associated with an uncomfortable feeling, crawling, aching, tingling, or throbbing. The syndrome does run in families. It is much more common in women and in people as they get older. It can also be brought on by an iron deficiency. Sleep experts we spoke to said some medications, simple sugars, and alcohol can make the problem worse. Hot or cold packs, massages, walks, simply forcing your mind to focus on something else can sometimes make it better. If you're still not able to get quality sleep at night, do seek out a sleep specialist to hopefully help you solve the problem. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Deadlines move fast. So should your takeoffs. With Lowe's Blueprint Takeoff, you can turn blueprints into competitive quotes. Bring us your plans, and we'll generate itemized material lists to make quoting faster and easier. And when you're ready, we'll deliver everything you need straight to the job site. Visit the Pro Desk today to get started. Lowe's, we help, you save.
Straight Talk knows the best holiday gift is simply saying yes.
Yes, you can stay up late. Sure, more cookies. Of course we can watch that movie again.
That's why we give you real unlimited data, so you can say yes to all of your family's streaming, scrolling, and sharing. And now at Straight Talk, get another gift worth giving, a free 5G phone with select plans. Because yes is the best gift to give.
Yes!
And receive. Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Hello, I'm Jerry Stewart, and this is One Moment in America. We all know about our Declaration of Independence. It spoke of freedom and responsibility. But there was another document, a very important document you may not know. I'll tell you that story after this important message. In a world that often forgets where freedom comes from, every parent, grandparent, and mentor who steps forward to guide the next generation plays a vital role. And Liberty Village gives families and individuals the experiences and guidance to make a lasting impact. Here, history comes alive as a living guide for how we think and act and make a difference today. Every pathway, workshop, and story invites visitors to step into the shoes of those who built our nation on courage, conviction, and hope. Don't just learn about history, experience its power. See what perseverance looks like. Understand the cost of sacrifice and witness how choices rooted in integrity and responsibility shape a better future. Through hands-on experiences and principle-based education, Liberty Village strengthens families and inspires young people to become thoughtful, engaged citizens. Discover your place in America's story at libertyvillage.org and take an active part in keeping the spirit of freedom alive. On July the 4th, 1776, our Declaration of Independence was introduced, and it spoke of freedom and individual responsibility. That was not the first such document. In November of 1620, the Pilgrims wrote an agreement called the Mayflower Compact. It spoke of common goals and cooperation and freedom, but it spoke of much more. It spoke of law and order and respect and personal responsibility. The question today is this: why is America falling? It's not the lack of freedom, it's the lack of personal responsibility. I'm Jerry Stewart, and that was One Moment in America.
This is Lori Force, running for Hospital Commissioner Position 7. I'm a nurse practitioner with years of hospital experience. Now I volunteer at our local free clinic. I moved here knowing we had a vibrant community hospital. Like many of you, I would have hesitated to move here without it. Now our hospital's in financial crisis. We must balance our checkbook to stay open. To get it right, we must protect patient services, maintain quality and safety, and stretch every dollar. I can help strike that balance. Thank you for your vote.
Paid for by Force for OMC.
It's the last day for the Backyard Butcher's on-site sale in Port Angeles. Residents have been buying up 20 ribeye steaks for only $39.
20 ribeyes for $39.
It's not too late. Just look for the big red truck at O'Reilly Auto Parts in PA. Stock up and save. 20 ribeyes for $39. Look for the big red truck at O'Reilly Auto Parts in PA. Cash, credit, debit, and EBT accepted.
Your community-minded friends at First Fed bring you the Community Corner, highlighting good things happening right here in our area.
The Seroptimist of Port Angeles has their elegant gourmet coupon books available now for purchase. After nearly 40 years, the price of the Elegant Gourmet Coupon Book still just $10 and is the Seroptimist major fundraiser each year. Over $613,000 has been raised for our community, providing scholarships, awards, and projects. This year's coupon book is better than ever, with 8 new merchants joining. There's coupons on dining, espresso, treats and sweets, merchandise, and many services. Purchase your Elegant Gourmet, etc. today from your favorite Seroptimist member. or at Angela's Furniture and Jim's Pharmacy. Still only $10. The book pays for itself when you use just one of their valuable coupons.
Community Corner on KONP, presented by First Fed.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Gaza's fragile ceasefire facing a major test. Israeli security officials said the transfer of humanitarian aid into Gaza was halted yesterday after Hamas terrorists murdered 2 Israeli soldiers. Later it said it would resume those shipments. Former Israeli ambassador to the U.S., Dr. Michael Oren, says President Trump has proven the so-called experts wrong when it comes to the Middle East.
In the mainstream media, in the universities, all had these assumptions that were totally proven wrong. For example, you can't make peace between Israel and an Arab country unless you first create a Palestinian state. Wrong. The way you end the war in Gaza is by pressuring Israel and cutting off arms supplies and military aid to Israel. Wrong.
Israeli forces did launch a wave of strikes across Gaza after their soldiers were killed. Later, they said they resumed to enforcing the ceasefire. White House Economic Advisor Kevin Hassett says congressional Democrats remain the primary obstacle to ending the government shutdown.
Nobody should shut the government right now. Republicans voted 13 times to keep the government open for Joe Biden, and the Democrats need to do their constitutional duty and do that for President Trump.
The Senate votes once again tonight to try and reopen the government. The Supreme Court will consider whether people who smoke marijuana can legally own guns.
The Trump administration asks the justices to revive a case against a Texas man charged with a felony because he allegedly had a gun in his home and acknowledged being a regular user of pot. While championing constitutional Second Amendment rights, the government attorneys argue that the Texas ban is a justifiable restriction. The government says the FBI found the man's gun and cocaine in a search of his home as they probed travel and communications allegedly linked to Iran. The gun charge was the only one filed. The arguments may take place early next year, with a decision likely by next summer. George Williams, Washington.
You'll find more on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, ethos.com/Mike.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I thought about it for a while before I ordered them, but I love the smell of them. So, it's a good thing.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping as a new preferred customer by using discount code BALANCE.
Jason Walker reports there's some new guidance when it comes to protecting children from peanut allergies.
A study recommended feeding babies peanut products early to prevent allergies. 60,000 kids avoided allergies after such guidance was issued in 2015. Now, a new study finds peanut allergies in kids ranging from newborns to 3 declined by more than 20% after the initial guidance was issued. For decades, doctors had recommended delaying feeding children peanuts and other foods likely to trigger allergies until the age of 3. Jason Walker reporting.
President Trump says the U.S. could buy some Argentine beef in an attempt to bring down prices for American consumers. U.S. beef prices have been stubbornly high for a variety of reasons. You'll find breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. Americans say they're increasingly concerned about their ability to find a good job. That's all according to an Associated Press NORC Center for Public Affairs Research survey.
High prices for groceries, housing, and health care persist as a fear for many households, while rising electricity bills and the cost of gas at the pump are also sources of anxiety, according to the survey. Some 47% of U.S. adults are, quote, not very or not at all confident that they could find a good job if they wanted to. Just more than one-half said the cost of groceries are a major source of financial stress. Bertie Bennett in Washington.
The Louvre remained closed today after historic jewels were stolen in a daring daylight heist yesterday. Thieves used a basket lift to access the museum, smashed display cases, and fled with Napoleonic jewels. The theft took place just 30 minutes after the museum opened on Sunday. The French Justice Minister says there were some major security failures. You'll find more of these stories at townhall.com.
This is the Newsradio KONP Noon Report.
Todd Ortloff in the KONP News Center. Here's a look at what's happening on this Monday, October 20th. 7 children who were the focus of an overnight search in Clallam County have been found safe. Clallam County Sheriff's Office said the kids, ranging in age from 6 months to 9 years old, were located early this morning in Kitsap County. About 5 a.m., deputies there found the suspect vehicle and took Nicholas Well and Rosario Lopez Castro into custody. The children are now in protective care. Now, the search began late Sunday after a violent incident on Carlsberg Road. Deputies say the driver of a dark blue 1999 Lexus sedan was stabbed and thrown from the vehicle at about 8:30 p.m. The victim was airlifted to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle. Authorities said that Lexus had been reported stolen and initially identified Well and Lopez Castro as persons of interest. A suspect has been arrested after threatening messages and a TikTok video targeting a Sequim high school student circulated on social media yesterday, prompting concern across the school district. Sequim School District Superintendent Reagan Nichols said the threats were quickly reported, and police determined by last night that they were a hoax. However, she stressed that making threats against schools remains a criminal offense. Classes will resume as scheduled today with extra police patrols on campus as a precaution. School staff were set to be briefed again today before the school day began. Officials urging anyone with information to report it and reaffirm that student and staff safety remained the district's top priority, and the investigation is ongoing. A late-night fire destroyed multiple barns on Mount Pleasant Road Friday night, drawing a large response from several area fire departments. Clallam 2 Fire Rescue was called just after 11 p.m. to the 3300 block of Mount Pleasant Road, where crews arrived to find the large hay barn fully engulfed in flames and spreading to nearby grass and outbuildings. With several barns burning and a travel trailer, farm equipment, and nearby home threatened, firefighters shifted to defensive operations to protect the surrounding property, and mutual aid was requested from the PA Fire Department as well as Fire Districts 3 and 4, along with support from Clallam County PUD and the Sheriff's Office. Firefighters faced limited water supply early in the response, requiring water tenders to shuttle water from a hydrant at the bottom of the hill. Once supply was established, crews poured some 20,000 gallons of water onto the blaze. One of the barns contained black powder, creating an added hazard for responders. Crews knocked down the main fire shortly after midnight and remained on scene until about 3:30 Saturday morning, with one engine staying overnight for fire watch. Firefighters returned later Saturday to help the property owner overhaul the smoldering hay piles. A Port Ludlow man in custody after a tense standoff Sunday that drew law enforcement from all across the North Olympic Peninsula. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office says a sergeant tried to pull over a speeding driver, but the man didn't stop till he reached his home. When deputies tried to arrest him, he resisted and ran inside. Pepper spray was used, but had little effect. A short time later, neighbors reported to 911 that a man was walking through their backyard with a shotgun. Well, that prompted a major response, including the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, Port Townsend Police, the State Patrol, as well as bringing in the Peninsula Crisis Response Team and canine units from Kitsap County and Port Angeles Police to help bring the situation finally to a safe end. Police did not release the name of the suspect. The shotgun was recovered. More news after this.
When I was a kid, I always looked forward to harvest time every year for fresh apples and delicious cider. This is Dale from Wilder Auto, and I would like to invite you to come harvest a great selection of end-of-year super specials. The time is right for great savings, and with over 100 lenders, hefty rebates and lease incentives, and some of the best brands on the planet, why would you go anywhere else? For best selection, stop by today or 24/7 at wilderauto.com.
This afternoon on the Todd Ortloff Show, it's election season. Don't miss the Port Angeles City Council Position 1 Forum. Incumbent Latricia Suggs faces challenger James Taylor. That's this afternoon on the TO Show.
Join us at 1 o'clock Monday through Thursday for the Todd Ortloff Show on KONP. Information to keep you engaged in your community with the people and organizations who keep it running. Sponsored by Dan Shappy, Farmers Insurance.
I'm Jerry Steffens, and I'm running to serve as your next OMC Hospital Commissioner, Position 1. My top priority is keeping the hospital open and under local control while promoting a University of Washington affiliation to enhance local health care and make sure everyone in our community has access to care. You deserve an engaged, responsive, and effective leader who will adequately respond to the challenges our hospital is facing and restore trust in the hospital. I would be honored to represent you as your next OMC Hospital Commissioner. Paid for by elect Jerry Steffens.
In other news, let's check in with Sandy Keys and his weekend wrap-up.
So now we're witnessing summer active season winding down. For evidence of slowdown, the police logs reflect that by being stuck in the ones in several categories. 1 known suicide attempt or threat in the east end of Port Angeles, 1 abandoned vehicle in Forks, 1 domestic violence at an East 101 address, 1 junk vehicle on Washington and Squim, 1 weapons discharge at Critter Country Trails Squim, 1 vehicle prowl at West 6th, 1 vicious animal complaint at River Road Squim, and 1 reported fireworks violation on West 18th, Port Angeles, 11 o'clock Saturday night. 3 burglaries were investigated at 7th Avenue Squim Friday morning, and a burglary report 2 hours later and 2 minutes apart at CQ and Clallam Bay. There were only 9 citizen assist requests, but Olympic Medical Center reported a disturbance there on the first floor 6:10 Friday evening and an assault there about 3 hours after that. Other assaults brought police to Railroad Avenue and Oak, Port Angeles Friday afternoon, 1 at First and Penn later Friday afternoon. There were 9 weekend disturbances, all in Port Angeles, and that's disturbing. Port Angeles also had 3 harassments, Squim had 2, and there were threats of harm, 1 in Squim, the rest in Port Angeles. 5 accidents were recorded, 3 in Greater Squim, 2 in Port Angeles. And drivers endured and survived more than 37 traffic stops. And police still were able to complete 16 welfare checks and 27 building checks. With fire departments, there was an unusual cluster of requests for fire department help Friday night with a general alarm at Mount Pleasant at 11:12 p.m., a general alarm call at 11:22 p.m. at Carlsberg Road, and a minute after that, another general alarm call at 256,000 block of 101 Port Angeles. There were 2 other general alarm calls, plus an outdoor burn complaint on Cameron Road, Squim, and at Wishbone Lane, Port Angeles. Yes, that does sound like a salad dressing. And in that kitchen and bathroom department, Radio KONP discovered a new bathroom deodorizer spray in the flavor of baked cinnamon apples. So, does that mean that we now can tell our dinner host that the freshly baked cinnamon apples smell just like bathroom deodorizer spray? Maybe not. Sandy Keys, KONP Local News.
It's the last day for the Backyard Butcher's on-site sale in Port Angeles. Residents have been buying up 20 ribeye steaks for only $39.
20 ribeyes for $39.
It's not too late. Just look for the big red truck at O'Reilly Auto Parts in PA. Stock up and save. 20 ribeyes for $39. Look for the big red truck at O'Reilly Auto Parts in PA. Cash, credit, debit, and EBT accepted.
Hello, this is Katie McCormick with Squim Valley and Harper Ridgeview Funeral Chapels. I'd like to take a moment to tell you about a new, exciting, and environmentally friendly development in the funeral industry. It's called Natural Organic Reduction, or terramation. Perhaps you've heard of it. Terramation is a process in which the body, after death, is returned to the earth in a carbon-neutral, eco-friendly manner. The process takes place in a controlled environment and all that remains is a natural, odorless, compost-like material. If you would like more information about terramation and advanced planning, call us today at Harper Ridgeview in Port Angeles or Squim Valley Chapel in Squim, and one of our knowledgeable and caring funeral professionals will assist you in answering your questions. Harper Ridgeview and Squim Valley Funeral Chapels, because your loved ones deserve the best.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by All Weather Heating and Cooling. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with a chance for isolated rain showers. High temperatures reach up to 55. Easterly winds around 5 miles per hour. Chance for rain tonight. Lows dip down to about 43. Mainly cloudy skies expected. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Tomorrow, slight chance for rain. High temperatures reach up to 55. Mid-50s Wednesday and Thursday with showers possible both days. Taking a look at the extended forecast, 54 Friday, 51 Saturday, and 49 on Sunday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Right now, it's 56 degrees.
12:46, and Robert Workman's Look at Sports is next.
Baseball's American League Championship Series is going to a decisive Game 7 tonight. Game 6 in Toronto, the Blue Jays bopped the Mariners 6-2, tying the series at 3-3. RBI singles from Addison Barger and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa put the Jays in front in the second inning. Then Barger blasted a two-run tater in the third. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. went deep in the fifth to pretty much salt it away. Trey Savage, who struggled in Game 2 of the series, was back on the beam, keeping Seattle off the scoreboard until the sixth, thanks in part to 3 inning-ending double plays. Third baseman Ernie Clement.
Yeah, I mean, that's a testament to Trey. I mean, we take care of the baseball when, they put it in play and give us a chance.
One game for all the AL marbles tonight at Rogers Center. The winner gets the Dodgers in the World Series beginning Friday. LA swept out the Brewers in the NLCS. NFL Week 7, and with just the Monday night double dip to play, look who has the best record in the league, the Indianapolis Colts. They bolted past the Chargers 38-27 to improve to 6-1. Jonathan Taylor ran the ball in 3 times for Indy.
It's amazing. I mean, anytime you can get into the end zone, that means you're putting points on the board to ultimately help your team win. So everyone loves yards, but when you get in the end zone, that's how you know you're one step closer to winning the game.
At the other end of the standings, the Jets fell to 0-7 with a 13-6 loss to the Panthers. After an 0-2 start, the Bears won their 4th straight, beating the Saints. 4 in a row for New England as well. The Patriots thumped the Titans, and 4 straight for the Broncos. They were down 19-0 through 3 quarters, but scored on all 5 of their possessions in the 4th to nip the Giants 33-32. Will Lutz kicking the winning field goal as time ran out. Packers rallied past the Cardinals. Eagles back on track with a win over the Vikings. In London, the Rams routed the Jaguars. Wins for the Browns, Chiefs, Cowboys, and 49ers. Tonight it'll be the Buccaneers at the Lions and the Texans at the Seahawks. And Chase Briscoe is into the NASCAR Cup playoff final after an overtime win at Talladega. That's Monday Sports.
Hi, it's Alicia with Ridgeline Home Care Cooperative, where we're more than a workplace, we're a family. We're worker-owned, worker-ran, and worker-profited, and proud to be named Emerging Business of the Year by our community. If you're a caregiver looking for a place where you're valued, or a family seeking care you can trust, you belong with us. Join our team, or let us care for your loved one. Visit ridgeline.coop, that's ridgeline.coop, Ridgeline Home Care Cooperative. Owned by caregivers, trusted by families.
It's the last day for the Backyard Butcher's on-site sale in Port Angeles. Residents have been buying up 20 ribeye steaks for only $39.
20 ribeyes for $39.
It's not too late. Just look for the big red truck at O'Reilly Auto Parts in PA. Stock up and save. 20 ribeyes for $39. Look for the big red truck at O'Reilly Auto Parts in PA. Cash, credit, debit, and EBT accepted.
Bobcat is offering a rare manufacturer discount, and it's big. Right now, get up to $20,000 off a Bobcat L85 wheel loader, E35 excavator, or T66 compact track loader at Brim in Carlsberg. We can't publish the price. You'll see why when you call. But trust us, it's the best price of the year on a new Bobcat. Find yours today at Brim Tractor in Carlsberg, your local Bobcat dealer.
Hi, this is John Holm, president of Tri-State Roofing, your local and family-owned company. If you're interested in a metal roof, prices are going up across the country, but we receive volume discounts through the manufacturer, and we pass that savings on to you. Act now and call 360-208-2222. Financing is available.
State Roofing, we got you covered.
News Radio KONP Business.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Stocks are surging on optimism about trade deals with China and also about a possible ending to the U.S. government shutdown, although that's not clear. Amazon Web Services, though, says issues continue to plague its service after a widespread outage degraded services for customers, including government agencies and financial platforms. Shares of Apple hitting a new intraday high today. The latest generation of iPhone 17s off to a faster start than usual, according to Counterpoint Research. Food prices could go higher after more ICE raids. The U.S. Labor Department warns the Trump administration's immigration crackdown has devastated agricultural workers and may threaten the food supply. And some disappointing news for a lot of international travelers. Passport stamps to most European countries will no longer exist by April of next year. Instead, your biometric data, fingerprints, and photos will be stored to track your visits. The UK, Ireland, and Cyprus, though, will still stamp your passport. Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Radio.
Let's get a last check of the noontime traffic next.
Save big right now at Angela's Furniture. And when I say big, I mean truckload big. The Serta Truckload Sale is going on now. Check out a Serta Perfect Sleeper Blue Lagoon Firm Queen for only $679. Upgrade to a Serta iComfort Aspire Medium Queen for only $19.99. And take it a step further with a new adjustable bed base. A queen size starts at only $599. And right now, get 0% financing for 12 months OAC. See the Serta experts today, only at Angela's Furniture.
McCrory Carpet One is part of a 1,000-store co-op. That means you get the competitive pricing of a big box store, but with a superior installation. Their team of professional installers are all employees who live here on the peninsula. Their installation teams take pride in their work because they know they're working for their neighbors and friends, local craftsmen helping local people. Experience the difference. It's why they say, always priced right and always done right at McCrory Carpet One.
News Radio KONP, traffic and roads.
All right, one last time up to Clallam Transit Dispatch Center we go, and that's where Steve's standing by with a check of the roads on this noon hour on a Monday. Good afternoon, Steve.
Hi there. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, we're actually doing pretty good out there. Fairly busy in places in the Port Angeles area and Sequim area, but traffic is moving along pretty smoothly, so you shouldn't have much problem making your way around. If you're on the highway between Port Angeles and Sequim, busy out there as well. For the amount of traffic that's out there, things are moving along just at the speed limit, pretty much all the way from Port Angeles to Sequim. Headed beyond there, Hood Canal Bridge, we are good to go with no scheduled marine openings, and state ferries are running on time today. West End traffic, if you're headed out to the Forks area, we're doing well. Just light to moderate traffic out there right now. It is moving along at the speed limit. A little bit wet in places out there, a few spotty showers popping up here and there, but overall, good trip for you. So everybody take care. Enjoy your afternoon. This is Steve reporting live from Clallam Transit for KONP.
Thank you, Steve. And again, going to be partly sunny the rest of the day today. Maybe a little rain later this afternoon, mid-50s to low 60s. Cloudy, little rain overnight tonight, lows in the mid-40s. And then sunshine tomorrow and highs in the mid-50s to lower 60s. Right now across the North Olympic Peninsula, Port Townsend's got clouds, 54. Out west at Forks, 52 with overcast conditions. Broken clouds and 55 in Sequim. And it's broken clouds and 55 now here in Port Angeles as well. Well, a new study published in the journal Pediatrics out today presents fresh evidence that feeding your kids peanuts early helps reduce their food allergies by almost 50%. ABC's Maggie Rulli with more.
Researchers in Philadelphia found peanut allergies in young children fell by 43%, and overall food allergies dropped by about 1/3. This after the American Academy of Pediatrics released new infant feeding guidelines in 2015 and again in 2017, encouraging parents to introduce peanuts and other allergenic foods at around 4 to 6 months of age.
If you're thinking about a cruise, ABC's Wayne Cabot says you might want to move fast.
AAA is projecting a record-breaking year for cruise travel in 2026 after a surge this year that defied expectations. Who are these people taking to the seas and rivers? 65% of U.S. cruise passengers are 55 or older. Hoping to appeal to younger people and more adventurous travelers, a lot of cruise lines are now offering expedition cruises from the Arctic to Antarctica. The most popular cruise destination for Americans by far, the Caribbean. Wayne Cabot, ABC News.
Yeah, do you like to cruise Zillow the way people scroll Facebook or TikTok? How good are you at guessing the asking price of a house? Well, you can find out in the game Curb Value. That's where they'll show you a picture, and the challenge is to guess the listing price within 5%. You get 5 guesses, and they'll tell you if you should go higher or lower after each guess. Again, just search Curb Value online to get the app that does the game.
After 2.5 years, Apple's $3,500 virtual reality Vision Pro headset is anything but a success. Sales are gloomy. It's probably set some kind of record for an Apple product with very little demand to still be in the Apple stores. And it just got a major upgrade with a faster processor and improved battery life. That's the question. What does Apple see in the Vision Pro that the rest of us don't? I'm Kim Commando for Oracle. In business, you can have better, cheaper, and faster with Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Try OCI for free at oracle.com/Kim. I visited a crowded Apple store last week. No one was standing around the Vision Pro table, except for one guy who said that they were very uncomfortable. So no real sales. Meanwhile, Meta's Ray-Ban smart glasses are selling fairly well at $800, and Samsung's dark glasses will be out probably before Christmas. As for the Vision Pro, not many will be in Santa's bag this year. Sign up for my free newsletter right now, and I'll be in your inbox tomorrow at getkim.com. In business, they say you can have better, cheaper, or faster, but you only get to pick 2. What if you could have all 3? That's exactly what Cohere, Thomson Reuters, and Specialized Bikes have since they upgraded to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. OCI is the blazing fast platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs, where you can run any workload in a high-performance environment and spend less than with other clouds. How's it faster? OCI block storage delivers more operations per second. Cheaper, up to 50% less for compute, 70% less for storage, and 80% less for networking. Better, in test after test, customers report lower latency and higher bandwidth versus other clouds. This is the cloud built for AI and all your biggest workloads. And right now, with zero commitment, try OCI for free. Just go to oracle.com/Kim. That's oracle.com/Kim, oracle.com/Kim.
I'm John Tesh, and coming up, we'll talk about the connection between your sleep issues and your relationship, because if you're not sleeping well, you're more prone to relationship conflict. That's next in today's Intelligence for Your Life Minute.
This week at Macy's, it's the best time to save on fall styles at our biggest fall sale. Find the classic brown boots and preppy Mary Janes that everyone's wearing. Luxurious cashmere and wool sweaters. Even better, it's our lowest prices of the season on diamond jewelry, now 50 to 75% off. Over half off. Don't miss your chance to save big on the looks you need now at Macy's biggest fall sale. Today, savings off select styles. Exclusions apply.
If you aren't sleeping well, you're probably having trouble in your relationship, and if you're having trouble in your relationship, you're likely not sleeping well, because the two are connected. That's according to clinical psychologist Wendy Troxel. She says when you sleep poorly, your communication skills suffer, your problem-solving skills are compromised, and you're more prone to conflict. You're also less able to read your partner's emotions, which is called empathetic accuracy. And it works the other way, too. Having conflict in your relationship can compromise your sleep. It's a vicious cycle. So what can couples with sleep problems do? Dr. Troxel says couples with good problem-solving skills don't suffer in their relationship from a lack of sleep. But if you're not sleeping well, be aware that you may be more prone to annoyance and poor communication. Wait until you're rested to try and solve any conflicts. I'm John Tesh with today's Intelligence for Your Life Minute.
Bathfitter is celebrating 42,000 installations in Western Washington by offering you monthly payments as low as $125 a month. Hooray! Custom-fit tub and shower solutions are installed in as little as 1 day, and every installation is backed by a lifetime warranty. Choose Bathfitter Northwest because they work here, they live here, and they love making bathrooms better for their neighbors. Visit bathfitternw.com to schedule a free consultation. This offer won't last long.
Medicare open enrollment is here. For a lot of people, it's still confusing. But don't worry, help is available with the Medicare Jumpstart Toolkit from the Office of the Insurance Commissioner and Sheba. Find out what's changing and learn your Medicare options with 7 easy steps to get ready for open enrollment. Get your free Medicare Jumpstart Toolkit now at insurance.wa.gov or pick up a copy at your local library or senior center.
Newsradio KONP Port Angeles Squim, serving the Olympic Peninsula now for 80 years. A Radio Pacific station.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In Atlanta, police say they arrested a man after a family warned them that he was vowing to carry out a shooting at Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International today. Authorities identified the suspect as Billy Cagle and say he was found in one of the domestic terminals when he was taken into custody. Atlanta Police Chief Darren Shearbaum says authorities found an AK-47 style assault weapon in the vehicle belonging to Cagle.
I do believe that Mr. Cagle was headed back to his truck to retrieve it. And I do believe he was likely to use that weapon inside the crowded terminal that he had just seen.
The police chief says the weapon was capable of firing 27 rounds inside the airport. Sources tell ABC News the suspect had some mental health issues. After announcing a rare earth minerals deal with Australia today, President Trump says he's confident he and China's President Xi can finalize a trade deal before a new round of tariffs kick in for China on November 1st. China recently said it would limit its exports of rare earth metals and controls roughly 90% of rare earth production. Here's ABC's Karen Travers.
This is something that the administration has accused China of extortion on. So we don't have details of what this actual agreement was that they just signed there in the cabinet room, but we had heard from administration officials saying that Australia is a significant potential supplier of those minerals and that they were looking to have a good relationship with Australia as they tried to shift away from a reliance, a dependence on China.
Vice President J.D. Vance, along with Second Lady Usha Vance, traveling to the Middle East, set to join U.S. envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner to help shore up the U.S. peace plan. 2 Israeli soldiers killed in Gaza over the weekend, and Israeli strikes in retaliation killed 44 Gazans. President Trump warning Hamas to stop the violence, or he says Hamas will be eradicated. Amazon says it's pinpointed the troubles of its Amazon Web Services today after an outage impacted websites worldwide. You're listening to ABC News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
In New Jersey, the investigation continues into a suspected hazing incident that left a Rutgers University student in critical condition. ABC's Sherry Preston has more.
The 19-year-old undergraduate student was found unresponsive in the early morning hours of Wednesday and remains in critical condition. Rutgers says the fraternity involved, Alpha Sigma Phi, has been placed on disciplinary probation, and the frat itself says if the injuries are believed to have been caused during a hazing incident, the chapter will be closed permanently, and anyone found to have been involved will be kicked out of school.
A new study published in the journal Pediatrics presents fresh evidence that feeding your kids peanuts early on helps reduce their food allergies by nearly 50%. Here's ABC's Maggie Ruley.
Researchers in Philadelphia found peanut allergies in young children fell by 43%, and overall food allergies dropped by about 1/3. This after the American Academy of Pediatrics released new infant feeding guidelines in 2015 and again in 2017, encouraging parents to introduce peanuts and other allergenic foods at around 4 to 6 months of age.
Researchers found in recent years egg allergies have become the most common food-related allergy. A lithium-ion battery fire broke out during an Air China flight bound for South Korea. That plane forced to make an emergency landing in Shanghai over the weekend. Crew members put out the smoke and flames that was pouring out of luggage in the overhead bin. Authorities say no one was injured. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Hey everyone, it's Betsy Sue from Airport Garden Center.
I wanted to let everyone know that our biggest sale of the year has started. Each week throughout the month of October, certain plants in that category will be 40% off. Outdoor glazed pottery and wood trellises will be 20% off all month long. You don't want to miss these savings. Pat and our knowledgeable staff will be here with any questions you have. We can't wait to see you. Fall brings cooler temperatures, which means less stress on grassy areas. That means now is the perfect time to plant grass seed. We carry a wide variety of seeds specifically meant for our area, as well as organic lawn fertilizers that are kid and pet friendly. Help your lawn transition to its resting phase by mulching your lawn with G&B Soil Building Conditioner. Buy 3 bags and get the 4th bag free until the end of the month. Come visit us for any questions and we'll set you up for success. Remember, come see us at Airport Garden Center on Edgewood Drive.
KONP News brought to you by RE/MAX Evergreen Real Estate. Outstanding agents, outstanding results. 457-6600. 7 children who were the focus of an overnight search in Clallam County now have been found safe. Sheriff's Office says the children, ranging in age from 6 months to 9 years old, were located early Monday morning in Kitsap County. Deputies there found the suspect vehicle and took Nicholas Well and Rosario Lopez Castro into custody, and the children are in protective care. The search began late Sunday after a violent incident on Carlsberg Road. Deputies say the driver of a dark blue 1999 Lexus sedan was stabbed and thrown from the vehicle. The victim was airlifted to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle. Authorities say the Lexus had been reported as stolen and initially identified the couple as persons of interest.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by Olympic Game Farm. Daytime highs approaching 57 this afternoon under overcast skies with a chance for isolated rain showers. Winds out of the northeast around 5 miles per hour. Chance for rain tonight. Lows dip down to about 43. Mainly cloudy skies expected. Slight chance for rain tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 55. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Mid-50s Wednesday and Thursday with scattered showers both days. Taking a look at the extended forecast, 54 Friday, 51 Saturday, and 49 on Sunday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently 55.
It's the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP. Now, here's Todd.
All right, welcome to the program. We're going to continue with our election season series of candidate forums, and we actually had hoped to have these two on last Monday, but the Mariners rudely interrupted the show for some playoffs or something like that. So I'm thankful that Latricia Suggs and James Taylor were able to reschedule 1 week ahead, and so I guess we still kept you on a Monday. At least we did that. So anyway, they are running for one of the positions on the city council, and we're going to hear from them for the next hour or so. As we like to do, to start with, I give each of our candidates a couple of minutes for an opening statement, and we start with the incumbent, and that would be Latricia Suggs. So Latricia, thanks for coming on. A couple minutes about why you're running.
Thank you, Todd. I'm kind of going to wing it right now today. So I'm Latricia Suggs, the incumbent running for Port Angeles City Council, Position 1. I've served on City Council since 2020, re-elected in 2021, and it has been an honor and very humbling experience serving on City Council. I love the community, the area that I've lived. Was raised here myself, graduated in 89, raised my family, and my grandchildren are being raised in this community. And I continue to hope to carry on that tradition that my great-grandchildren will continue to be raised in this community. I continue to serve and be excited about serving on City Council because of, one, my compassion and my passion for where we live, but also, I want to continue the great work that City Council has continued. And some of my priorities that I'll continue to focus on are continuing to protect existing housing stock, continuing to promote the increase of additional dwelling units on the market. One student asked me, how can you reduce the inflation for residents here in the city of Port Angeles? And one way that we can do that is by focusing on increasing housing stocks. Because if you have increasing dwelling units, either rental or homes to purchase on the market, those prices come down because it's a supply and demand thing. And if we can help reduce the cost of rents and mortgages or how much houses cost, that is helping our citizens. And that's one way we can impact inflation for citizens here in Port Angeles. But also, again, continuing to protect our sole water source. This is a long-term vision. We're talking, 2070, when glaciers are anticipated, 70% of the glaciers will be melted. Our river is a glacier-fed river. And, so this is a long game that we're playing with protecting our water source. So those are my priorities. Again, my heart is in environmental policy and planning, 24 years experience in environmental policy and planning, working for our local tribes, and our community benefits, the work that I've done throughout my lifetime.
All right. Thank you, Latricia Suggs. James Taylor, a couple of minutes on why you're running.
Okay, so I got involved in city politics when I tried to get a permit on my house, and then I had a permit on my rental house, and that was even more ridiculous when dealing with the city. And then we tried to build an art studio, and the planning department got even more ridiculous. So I got onto the planning commission, and the first thing I encountered there was the STR disaster, and I'm calling it a disaster not necessarily about the outcome, but about the way it was done. There was no really plan going in. It wasn't coordinated as a project. And so as I look around the city, I keep seeing a lack of functional organization. So I'm going to pick on the budget here for a second. If we look at numbers here, we budget, these are 2024 numbers, so we budgeted $184 million, but then we spent $153 million. But then if you look at the current budget, it says we spent $154 million. And then if you look over in one of the tabs there, it says we're going to take $25 million out of reserves. Well, if you also go back and look at the budgets, and then look at the revenue at the end of the day, we don't spend the money we say we're going to spend. So in 2024, we said we're going to spend $185 million, but we spent $152 million. So we budgeted $32 million more than we actually spent. And so you go, well, let's look at our open books. And so you go there and it says we spent $85 million. And so it's just that the numbers just aren't adding up for me in terms of seeing what's our revenue and, what we're spending the money on. And so I got into a little bit of a panic mode because the city just kept buying vehicles, replacing vehicles that weren't obsolete. And it's like, why don't you see that, your numbers aren't working out? And so I just think from a leadership role, there's no one on city council with the exception of Drew that really has business experience, and it really shows. And I think we have two departments that are very weak down at City Hall. We have the accounting department, and we have legal that's really weak. We aren't condemning any of these burned out houses in town. And, the feedback I got to is that legal just didn't want to pursue that. So I think, what I'm going to provide is a clearer picture. Let's have really solid financial numbers so that they make sense. And then also let's go after the burned out houses in town and, really try to spruce this place up that current city council seems to be ignoring.
All right, that's James Taylor. Latricia Suggs and James will be back with questions when we come back right after our first break here.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on Newsradio KONP.
I understand that as our world becomes more automated, receiving personalized service from a real person is more meaningful than ever. I'm Dan Shappy, and as a farmer's agent, I know a thing or two about how to help you select the insurance you want so you can
protect
what matters most.
Call 360-681-0696 to learn more and chat with me, a real person and experienced farmer's agent, today.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Hi, it's Alicia with Ridgeline Home Care Cooperative, where we're more than a workplace, we're a family. We're worker-owned, worker-ran, and worker-profited, and proud to be named Emerging Business of the Year by our community. If you're a caregiver looking for a place where you're valued, or a family seeking care you can trust, you belong with us. Join our team or let us care for your loved one. Call 360-504-3837 today. Ridgeline Home Care Cooperative. Compassionate care powered by the community.
Hi, I'm Anne-Marie Henninger, your current OMC Board President, running for re-election. I love what I do as a commissioner. The responsibilities are a great fit for my skills and abilities. I'm running for re-election because I want to continue to serve OMC and you, the people we care for. The job is not done guiding our community hospital through challenging times. I humbly ask for your vote to ensure OMC's success into the future.
Paid for by Anne-Marie Henninger, Hospital Commissioner.
Hi, this is John Holm, President of Tri-State Roofing, your local and family-owned company covering the entire Olympic Peninsula area. The difference with Tri-State Roofing is we separate ourselves with the quality of products we offer, customer service, including an A+ rating with the BBB, solid safety plans, and the best labor guarantees around. Call 360-208-2222.
Tri-State Roofing, we got you covered.
Visit A1 Auto Parts in Sequim and get ready to cruise. A1 Auto Parts in Marine has a wide selection of marine, auto, and trailer supplies, plus very expert knowledge, even custom-made hydraulic hoses while you wait. Whether land or sea, rely on A1 Auto Parts and Marine in Sequim to help keep your Northwest adventure moving. A1 Auto Parts, right across from Sunshine Cafe, Sequim.
Hi, this is Mike from American Rare Coin and Gold in Sequim. Do you have a house project needs doing but lacking the funds? Now is a great time to sell gold, silver, or rare coins. Prices are at an all-time high. We love to buy coin collections, gold and silver jewelry and bullion. We even help with entire estates. You could be sitting on a literal gold mine. Come see me, Mike, at American Rare Coin and Gold in Sequim. Call 360-968-4943.
All right, welcome back to our program. We have Latricia Suggs and James Taylor. They're running for position 1 on the city council here in Port Angeles, and we're going to get into some questions right now. And of course, I'm going to start with housing because it seems to be a big one. I'm sure you've heard lots of it out there on the campaign trail. Everybody's talking about it, especially the costs of things. So specifically, and try to keep these answers in a couple of minutes if you could, so we can get more questions in. What would you be asking the city to do as a city council member to help bring these costs down or address the housing stock issue or the cost issue? James?
Okay, so I've watched the county's housing program, and I think they're doing an excellent job of pulling together the thinkers and the builders in the community, and I really think that the city needs to just support that. I don't think that buying this one lot on C Street really demonstrates a comprehensive plan on how to pursue housing. The second thing the city needs to do, and they need to sign on with all the other cities and counties, is to go to Olympia and say the energy codes are driving up the cost of a house. Not exponentially, but this last go-round drove up the cost of a single-family house by $10,000. Previous to them, it's driven them up by $25,000. So we need to roll back the energy codes back to 2019, 2018. And, those were perfectly legitimate energy codes. It wasn't like they were, we're just going to have a 2x4 wall with no insulation. Those were legitimate energy codes. But now they're saying, well, you have to have, you can't do anything with the 2x4 wall. So like any of these houses that are in town that need to be remodeled, well, you have to kind of lie and say, I'm not going to do the 35% update of the house so that you actually can get it insulated. So just these excessive energy codes, not the legitimate ones, not the ones that, for a buck you got a buck, but this last round costs way too much. The other thing we need to do is we need to condemn these empty houses, and you need to build a program around that condemnation that gets, a multifamily on them. So you go down 5th Street on West 5th, and there's a burned out house, and there's one that the guy hasn't mowed the lawn in 10 years. We need to get those properties condemned. We need to have a program that puts like a 4-plex on them, or a 6-plex, or an 8-plex, but actually build that program, then turn around and have cost-effective plans to actually build an 8-plex. And then along with that, have bankers already involved, and they're going to say pre-approved plans, but our current pre-approved plans, there hasn't been a single house built off of them. So, but a plan that's designed to fit on a 140 by 50-foot lot that has a multiplex on it, and have the pre-approved plans, take them over to Hart and Eagles or Millworks and have them all piece counted out, and so that we could start building affordable properties.
All right. Latricia, same question. How do you address the cost on housing?
Well, that is definitely a very layered question there, Todd. Thanks for the question, whoever submitted it. And it's complex. Some of the things the city has done, again, our fee waiver program for multifamily type housing, for ADUs, help to reduce the cost, because when you come in, you have a permit and you pay permit fee. So we're helping to reduce that cost by waiving those up to 25 different permit fees. My opponent, he talked about the off-the-shelf plans. And those plans help to speed up the permitting process. It may not be a perfect system, but plans have, people have come in and taken the plans off the shelf. Has it gone to somebody constructing it? I don't know. I'm not as detailed every day involved with the city public our community and economic development, but I know that they have been, people have asked for them. They have been provided to customers. The county has the same thing. They have designs off-the-shelf plans, same as the city. So we're both moving forward in the same concept. We also have, increased density. We've increased the height. So you can create more units on a lot than originally allowed. But, there are some things that are mandated. We are a city that we have a national pollution discharge elimination systems permit from Department of Ecology. So it does increase the fees when it comes to stormwater runoff, because those are mandated costs, and we can't really do much about those state mandated costs that they're telling us we have to. There are some costs when it comes to the building codes, the updates of the codes, and we always do bring those issues to our state legislatures that, hey, look, we have these costs. We are not I-5 corridor, and the city of Port Angeles should not be treated as if we're I-5 corridor. We haven't gotten any traction on that yet, but we always do bring it back to our state legislatures that it needs to change, because we are not the I-5 corridor, and the issues that you have there are not the same issues out here. Hopefully one of these years we'll get it to stick, and maybe even dig down a little bit deeper to say this is how you can change it to really benefit our community. So we are making efforts. And our pipeline project there on 10th and C Street. Just recently we received a letter from Port Angeles Realtors Association that actually supported that project, saying that it's going to be a great pipeline project to drill down on the permitting efficiencies as that moves through the system when you're doing multifamily type housing. So that is one of the things that they supported in this recent letter that we received. So everybody has their difference of opinions. We'll get there and we'll make it work. And we do work with builders in our communities.
All right, Latricia, you get the first shot on this question, and that is on economic development. What is a specific idea that you would bring if reelected that would help, you think, help local jobs and especially small businesses thrive here?
Well, I think one of the things that, as we continue to do, is partners with the local entities that really focus on the purpose of economic development, working with Collin County EDA. And then there's also within the Collin County EDA, there's the small, that micro businesses that they focus on. Again, continuing to partner with them and work with them, and recommendations from them as what can we do that's better for them. I think one of the things that our community, as city council, I mean, we can, again, look at our codes. We did pass the itinerant vendor code. We updated that. And so, we've been able to allow small business to expand by having, street vendors. If you want to have a mobile food truck, you can now have that where we didn't have that before. So that is one change that I was supportive of, and that we got behind. There's probably some tweaks to that code that can be changed, and those will probably come from our community and economic development department saying, hey, let's update this. But I think one of the things our community needs to focus on, and that's, when I say community, I mean everybody who's focusing on economic development. I mean, for my tribe, Jamestown S'Klallam Tribe, I sit on the Economic Development Authority Board, and I understand the challenges of what it takes to expand a business, to make a business more profitable. We moved our one of our businesses to a handful of 4 employees, and now we have over 25 employees working at this business. So it takes years to make that happen, and it's a slow process. But I think for everybody who's listening that works in economic development is we need to figure out how to diversify. We need to not focus on so much as being a natural resource extraction. It's going to happen. I mean, we're still going to have timber and logging in our community. It's not going to go away. And I've never said that I don't support that. My son works as a log truck driver. My dad worked as a log truck driver, and his dad also worked in the logging industry. So it's going to be there. But I think that we need to diversify. I'd like to see more research and development organizations in our community and bring that out, because you're bringing people those are family wage jobs, they're educated people, and they're working on solving problems.
All right, James Taylor, your thoughts. If elected, what would you specifically do for economic development?
Okay, so point one would be support local businesses and have the city support them. We currently buy all of our vehicles out of Longview and not from local vendors. Up until just recently, we had our LTAC web presence done out of town. And I really think it was the citizens of the community that really spoke up really loud that we change out that vendor. I know that I was involved in it. I know I have friends that were really pushing the point that we needed to do this locally. Now we have a local contract. One of the things we need to do is, I'm thinking like a brand where we have a label that says this was made in S'Klallam County. Something that, shows up really solid, that, like the little dog food guy that sells just his one little dog food treat, that he could actually turn around and brand. Entrepreneurship, what you notice is they're not good financial people. So I know the college is looking at it really hard. I think the high school's working hard, but we really need to focus on, things like the Apex Accelerator, how to get these bright ideas to the marketplace. One of the things that I think I have going for me is I already have relationships with businesses. And I think that, the city council as a group hasn't really interfaced well with the local businesses. If you go talk to Interfor or Port Angeles Hardwood, they've never met anybody from the city. And we really need to, be out there as a team to really emphasize that we want business growth. Now, I'm the vice president of the Port Angeles Business Association. I'm involved with the Waterfront District. I go to the port meetings, all the port meetings. And, day in, day out, you don't really see the city interfacing well with those groups. I think, there was a point brought up that, the city needed to have a business liaison person. And I'm saying we have 7 of them. They're called city council. So, and then we have to have an attitude that when someone comes in for a permit, say a coffee shop out off of 18th Street, their permit doesn't get held up for 2 years. We need to build single-family housing. That's where the market says that they want housing. And so quit playing the market. And yet the city has raised the fees on a single-family house by $10,000 a unit. So we need to put a big sign coming in on, as soon as you get a city limit, it says Port Angeles is open for business.
All right. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. More questions for James Taylor, Latricia Suggs. They're running for one of the spots on the Port Angeles City Council right after this.
Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP.
Todd Ortloff now with a word for Olympic Peninsula title. They don't just have customers, they have raving fans. Yeah, for over 40 years, they've been earning the repeat business of their customers by treating them with respect, delivering what they promise, prioritizing the security of customers' funds and information, and always providing service with a smile. When it's time to choose a title company to close your transaction, opt for Olympic Peninsula Title and see for yourself why they've earned over 500 five-star reviews, and they've been voted best title company in Clallam County over and over again.
Welcome to Volunteer Spotlight, sponsored by Jim Hagwood, Port Angeles Realty. This is Alan Barnard, and this Volunteer Spotlight shines on Seroptimist International of Port Angeles. Their Noon Club's mission is to improve the lives of women and girls through programs leading to social and economic empowerment and to serve as a voice on issues of importance to women and girls. Their active volunteer members are dedicated to community service through active support and financial support of many civic projects and groups. When women help other women, amazing things happen, breathing life into many education and empowerment programs. If you want to make a difference by joining Seroptimist, their website at sipawa.org. That's sipawa.org. It's said that service is the rent we pay for a space on earth. That's why we present this Volunteer Spotlight, sponsored by Jim Hagwood, Port Angeles Realty.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Police say they averted an attack today at Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International. Authorities say the family of suspect Billy Cagle warned them he wanted to carry out a shooting at one of the terminals. Atlanta Police Chief Darian Shearbaum says they arrested him without incident and later found an assault weapon in his vehicle.
There were 27 rounds that could have been fired from this weapon inside the airport.
The police chief says the family did the right thing by notifying authorities. Hamas transferred another body to Red Cross, and then the coffin is now in Israeli custody. It will undergo DNA testing to see if it's a deceased hostage. President Trump today warning Hamas to end the violence against Gaza and Israeli forces, or he will make sure they are eradicated. It is day 20 of the federal government shutdown. Democrats and Republicans deadlocked on restoring health care benefits. The Senate will take up another vote later today on a measure aimed at ending the shutdown. It is not likely to pass. This is ABC News.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by Olympic Game Farm. Daytime highs approaching 57 this afternoon under overcast skies with a chance for isolated rain showers. Winds out of the northeast around 5 miles per hour. Chance for rain tonight. Lows dip down to about 43. Mainly cloudy skies expected. Slight chance for rain tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 55. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Mid-50s Wednesday and Thursday with scattered showers both days. Taking a look at the extended forecast, 54 Friday, 51 Saturday, and 49 on Sunday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently 55.
right, we're back with more with our candidates for City Council. We have James Taylor, Latricia Suggs in the studio today. And I forgot to say at the top of the hour, if you want to text in a question for our candidates, you can do so at 360-457-1450. But one of our listeners did already do this, so I'm going to try to work one of their questions in. And we go to James first on this one. And this question from one of our listeners: what's the largest budget in dollars you have managed? And then what are your views of fiscal responsibility, if you had to describe it?
So back in the middle 2010s, I was responsible for 8 to 10 people. I never actually had to manage that budget. So the largest budget I've ever managed is my own personal budget. But that doesn't mean I can't see what a budget is. And I really think that these budget numbers that I'm seeing, they don't align. And my observation is we need to sit down with a team of accountants and really go through this, because these numbers don't align. It says we spent $85 million according to Open Books, but yet it says we spent $154 million according to the budget documents. So where did that $70 million go? I really think we need to have eyes on this, and I don't see where City Council is doing that. I know both Lindsay and Mayor Dexter said they didn't want to be the board of directors for our community, and who is then?
All right, Latricia, same question. Largest budget you've in dollars managed, and your views on fiscal responsibility.
Well, currently for my job, I am managing a $36 million budget for the Big Quilcene River Bridge Replacement Project. It's a bridge phase, floodplain, and acquisition of logs for ELJ projects and revetment projects. So personally, in my job. And then for City Council, it's every year. The budgets that come through, they're $160 million plus budget. There's a lot of projects within that budget that's tied to the Capital Facilities Transportation Improvement Plan. There's projects that we budget in there that you set aside funding for it. So it's a project that you can't do yet, but you plan on doing it in the next 5 years. And well, what do? You put money aside. And that's what you see in this project, where the city is putting aside funding. I'll give you an example. The restrooms. That's where the city sets aside funding every year. And then once they have enough funds on hand, then they can go to contract and spend those dollars. But you can't release a request for proposals until you have the funds on hand. So every year you always see little corrections to the budget where these funds are transferred to the next year. They're carryover funds from the year before, and that happens consistently because you're budgeting for those projects. And I call that good fiscal budgeting, is when you can't afford it right now, but you can start setting aside small pots of money that go towards that project, and that the budget tracks how much is saved for that, or how much is going to be set aside every year. As City Council, our relationship is with Nathan West, the manager, and the expectation is that our city manager surrounds himself and hires experts in their field. Our chief financial officer, our legal person, our assistant city manager. We expect that we have good qualified staff and people that are experienced and knowledgeable doing their job. So I trust the folks that are in leadership jobs at the city, and that's our job, is to make sure we have good people in those jobs. And I think they're doing a good job. Yes, the budget is complex, but I don't think. And we also do audits at the end of the year, and we haven't had any findings in our audits. So our audits are showing that that there's nothing that's being flagged or that's of concern. And I think it's appropriate that we set aside these funds for these projects until we have the funding on hand. Then we can move to construction.
All right, next question has to do with a lot of people. You hear this, I'm sure you've heard this in your other forums. There's a homeless issue. There's certainly an aesthetic issue with Port Angeles. It's not what it used to be, certainly for a lot of people who've been here a long time. Things have changed. Latricia, I know that's you've been here a while as well. So what did you do as a city council to address kind of that issue?
Well, homelessness and the unhoused is, again, a complex issue, and I don't think it's an issue that's going to go away in my lifetime. It hasn't gone away prior to, the generations before me. But what we can do is work with partners. Clallam County is the entity that receives dollars for homelessness, and they put those funds into Peninsula Behavioral. They have contracts with Peninsula Behavioral Health or with Serenity House. And so they contract out for certain services to address homelessness. And what the city does is we've developed internal programs, kind of like more social workers, navigators on the street, our Rediscovery program, which then expanded to Rediscovery 2.0. And then we expanded to include community paramedics that address the medical needs of our unhoused and our vulnerable population. And even those that were struggling with addictions. And then we expanded that paramed program to include Operation Hope. And these programs have been funded through grant funds. They've been funded through our opioid settlement funds that the city received. And we'll continue to go after grant funds. But again, that's where the compassion comes in. And you're hoping that, when you come to those folks with the help, that at that time they're ready to accept it and move on. We can't force people into involuntary commitments. But what we can do is just continue to provide that compassion. But we do have code enforcement that we reestablished, which helps. And we also, work with our police department and trying to help. Sometimes people say, "Oh, well, people are stealing because of this," or they associate theft with our unhoused and are homeless, but some of those people also experience theft amongst their own community of the unhoused. And again, you working with our police department, with our code enforcement to try to address and try to keep people, encourage them. You need to go into a shelter. We need to find transition housing for you. But then it also comes back down to a housing issue. We need housing for, transitional housing for folks. And we probably need a second, or expand Serenity House, but Serenity House was recently expanded too. So again, I think it comes with compassion and just remembering that they are still our neighbors. And if it was us, we would want people to reach out to us.
All right, James, same question. How do you deal with an aesthetic issue in homelessness?
So there is two issues that seem to keep coming up in my conversations with people. One is there's the community that doesn't like to see them. So they want all the homeless to be invisible. And so to help the homeless be invisible, there needs to be a designated space where you're not rousted out. A place that has restroom, a place that has garbage, commerce such as we'll trade you some groceries for trash. There needs to be ability for the homeless to actually self-police. Right now, the homeless are kind of out there on their own. The police don't help them. If one homeless person assaults another, they really don't have the means to protect themselves. They need to be able to have a lockbox that they can keep their wallet and their birth certificate in a place that, they don't lose. If you go look at some of the larger homeless camps, say along Tumwater Street, they have a place to live. These people don't have a place to live. So by having having the homeless camp thrown in the dumpster, and I'm thinking Fort PA hasn't done that lately. But they need, where do they get a new tent? Where do they get a new wheelbarrow? Should their one get stolen by, the competition, or should they just get soaking wet? So they need places to go dry out. They need places, and then, I've heard so many people complain about the needle exchange. I mean, it's really kind of interesting how homelessness is viewed as a plague rather than viewed as how do you help these folks? I've donated Fort PA, for example. Now he has they call it a high bar or something like that. They got to be sober in that space. But there needs to be more things like Fort PA. If you go down to Serenity House, I don't know how many of those neighbors when I was walking around actually can't stand the fact they got to drive by it, because Serenity House, they overflow. They're on the sidewalk. They're over on the port property. There needs to be more Serenity Houses. As much as I hate having the Peninsula Behavior Health build that huge building right next to me, that was a necessary addition to our community.
All right, let's do one quick question. I want to squeeze one more question in, and then we'll take a break and come back with some closing remarks. Give me the one thing that is your top priority, James Taylor.
I think we need to know where we are financially. I see the city has grown substantially from 250 employees to 300 employees. Our budget in 2022 was $109,000. Now it's $189,000. We just can't keep continuing to grow. The population hasn't grown that much. Why is the city, perpetually growing? Part of it is no city councilor will tell the city no. So, I just want to hold tight on, so we can survive the downturn with the lack of grant money that's going to come in.
Okay. Latricia, same question. What is your one top priority?
In my heart, the one top priority for the long term that our community needs, and we need to address it now, is protecting our saltwater source. Again, I keep saying this over and over. Our glaciers, 70% of the glaciers are anticipated to have melted in the Olympics by 2070. You think, well, that's about 45 years from now, but that's not too long away. And we rely on the Elwha River, which is a glacier fed. Once those glaciers are gone, it's going to be based, the water in the river will be based on rainfall. And that's not a good thing. If we want to see growth in our community, we need to preserve what we have through all means necessary, because right now that's something we can do. We can have immediate impact on and preserving the lower 13% of the Elwha watershed. And while we're doing that, in the meantime, in the next couple decades, we can work on the water diversification and providing deep wells, figuring out where that can happen, and infrastructure needed to connect. Once you can access and find wells, it needs to be able to be convenient to connect to our water system. But you need to get a water permit to have those deep wells, and so that's what takes time. So I think again, securing and protecting the Elwha watershed, working on diversification, which is going to it's going to be a couple decade project. One, putting aside the money, paying for it is going to be costly. So to me, I think that's our main long-term issue that I will continue to work on and advocate for.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll give a closing remark from both of our candidates when we get back right after this.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on Newsradio KONP.
I understand that as our world becomes more automated, receiving personalized service from a real person is more meaningful than ever. I'm Dan Shappy, and as a farmer's agent, I know a thing or two about how to help you select the insurance you want so you can
protect what matters most.
Call 360-681-0696 to learn more and chat with me, a real person and experienced farmer's agent, today.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
I'm Jerry Steffens, and I'm running to serve as your next OMC Hospital Commissioner, Position 1. I have served my community as a volunteer physician, medical director, and board member of the Olympic Peninsula Community Clinic, our local free clinic. I served on the Clallam County Board of Health and as a treasurer for St. Andrew's Episcopal Church. You deserve an engaged, responsive, and effective leader who will adequately respond to the challenges our hospital is facing and restore trust in the hospital. I would be honored to represent you as our next OMC Hospital Commissioner, paid for by elect Jerry Steffens.
Are you looking for a new spiritual home? Come visit us at Unity in the Olympics. We are a new thought community, open and welcome to all spiritual denominations and paths. No judging, no penalties, just love, growth, and maybe a donut. Unity in the Olympics. Diverse in members, inclusive in love. Join us every Sunday at 10:30 a.m., 2917 East Myrtle Street in Port Angeles. We look forward to seeing you there.
It's the last day for the Backyard Butcher's on-site sale in Port Angeles. Residents have been buying up 20 ribeye steaks for only $39.
20 ribeyes for $39.
It's not too late. Just look for the Big Red Truck at O'Reilly Auto Parts in PA. Stock up and save. 20 ribeyes for $39. Look for the Big Red Truck at O'Reilly Auto Parts in PA. Cash, credit, debit, and EBT accepted.
Me, only me.
There's a new voice in Port Angeles, and she wants to be your voice. Vote for change. Vote Mimi, Port Angeles City Council, Position 4.
Me, only me.
This ad was paid for by me, Marilee Mimi Smith Dvorak.
End-of-life decisions are hard. Be it pre-planning or sudden loss, you need to have an advocate in your corner, which is why I wholeheartedly recommend Drennan & Ford Funeral Home and Crematory in Port Angeles, the only locally owned funeral home and crematory in Clallam County. Their expertise ensures a smooth process so you can focus on healing and being with your loved ones. Their help through the darkest time in my life will forever stay with me. Call 360-457-1210.
All right, great hour. We're talking with our candidates for Position 1 on the Port Angeles City Council, the incumbent Latricia Suggs and challenger James Taylor this hour. And I'm going to give each of our candidates a couple of minutes to wrap things up in a closing statement, and we'll go to James Taylor first for that. So, James, a couple of minutes on why we should vote for you.
So I'm involved in the community. I attend the port meetings. I attend the utility meeting. I attend just all kinds of activities in town. Although I haven't been a spectacular volunteer, I volunteer through Rotary. I go to Studio Bob's a lot. I go to Field Hall a lot. And one of my criticisms of City Council earlier was you never see any of them in town. I'm involved with Port Angeles Business Association. That requires me to call up people and try to get them to come speak to us. I think my involvement in the community makes me approachable. I think my involvement in the community really sets the bar from what I would expect the rest of the City Council to do. I know we all have our little pieces, and maybe, I'm missing, other opponents. And then the other thing the reason to vote for me is we really have to get a grip on these financials. They do not make sense. Open books, nice little program, says we spent $82 million last year, 2024. Yet you go to the budget, said we spent $152 million. You go to open books, there's no accounts payable there's no accounts receivable in open books. So we don't know where our income's coming from if you look at open books. Now, if you have the privilege of being inside on the other side of the wall, you have, more data to you. But as a common citizen, there is not a good place to see how we're doing financially. And, with the coming, I'm afraid that, that the little fly on the wall is telling me that we're headed towards an economic downturn. And the county's already acknowledged it, already talked about laying off people. And, that's hard, but I think, the city can't just keep exponentially growing like it is. It needs to stabilize and needs to really focus on what our revenues are and what our spending is.
All right, let's go over to Latricia Suggs and a couple of minutes on why we should vote for you.
Well, this is Latricia Suggs running for position 1, Port Angeles City Council, and I would appreciate your vote. Serving on City Council has been humbling. I've lived in the community for 50 plus years. Will continue. I mean, it's my home. I'm not going anywhere, and I've lived the history. I've seen the changes in our community, the economic downturns, but yet I have also seen how we've turned things around and how the community has grown since the early 70s to 2025. It's amazing to see how resilient we are as a community. And I've always said that this community, even when the decisions are hard to make, this community always seems to make the right choices, the right decisions, and they get behind issues that are vital. I remember the Chiwichen Village site when that was discovered. The community got behind and supported the tribe. I remember the old dam. That was pretty contentious, but with education out there, people got behind that. But I continue to live that rich history in our community. I've got 24 years in environmental policy and planning, and I've been able to work with our local tribes, with local contractors, and even contractors out of the area on fabulous legacy projects that have benefited our watershed, the Elwha watershed, the Dungeness watershed, and right now, Quilcene watershed. So I've got a lot of experience in contracting, grant management, grant writing, RFPs, putting it out there. And I think that also, I want to say that we have grown. And as council members, we do look at the budget and we do recognize where we can save money. And recently we grew because the city took on management of the transfer facility on both the Blue Mountain transfer facility and also there on the west end. So we took over those facilities from the contractor because the contractor wanted to increase the rates significantly, our solid waste rates. And we said, no, our citizens cannot afford what you want to increase the rates to. So we had an opportunity to cancel or to end that contract, and we did. And so we grew because of that. Our staff grew, and and that was a good thing. So growth happens, and sometimes it's a really great reason, and the reason why we grew was to save our community money.
All right, Latricia Suggs, thanks so much for coming on today. Appreciate
you.
it. And James Taylor, thank you as well for coming on to talk with us.
All right,
good luck
thank you.
the rest of the way. All right, we're going to take a break. News is coming up next.
This is Lori Force, running for Hospital Commissioner, Position 7. I'm a nurse practitioner with years of hospital experience. Now I volunteer at our local free clinic. I moved here knowing we had a vibrant community hospital. Like many of you, I would have hesitated to move here without it. Now our hospital's in financial crisis. We must balance our checkbook to stay open. To get it right, we must protect patient services, maintain quality and safety, and stretch every dollar. I can help strike that balance. Thank you for your vote.
Paid for by Force for OMC.
Welcome to Volunteer Spotlight, sponsored by Jim Hagwood, Port Angeles Realty. This is Alan Barnard, and this Volunteer Spotlight shines on Seroptimist International of Port Angeles. Their Noon Club's mission is to improve the lives of women and girls through programs leading to social and economic empowerment and to serve as a voice on issues of importance to women and girls. Their active volunteer members are dedicated to community service through active support and financial support of many civic projects and groups. When women help other women, amazing things happen, breathing life into many education and empowerment programs. If you want to make a difference by joining Soroptimist, their website at sipawa.org. That's sipawa.org. It's said that service is the rent we pay for a space on earth. That's why we present this Volunteer Spotlight, sponsored by Jim Hagwood, Port Angeles Realty.
From the straight to the sound, Newsradio KONP, Port Angeles Squim, is celebrating 80 years serving our community. A Radio Pacific station.
From ABC News, I'm Lindsay Davis, anchor of Crime, streaming weeknights on ABC News Live. A scare at one of the nation's busiest airports today. Authorities say they thwarted a potential attack at Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International, arresting a man identified as Billy Cagle after getting a tip from his family that he planned to carry out a mass shooting at one of the terminals. Atlanta Police Chief Darren Shirebaum says that they also retrieved an assault rifle in the suspect's vehicle.
We found inside a Springfield AR-15 assault rifle, a 5.56 St. Victor model with 27 rounds of ammunition.
According to sources, the suspect had some mental health issues. The ceasefire in Gaza holding after skirmishes this weekend. Israel